In this video, we're going to be learning about multiplying matrices. And there's two types of matrix multiplication. The first one is what's called scalar multiplication. So a scalar is just a number that you multiply the matrix by. And in order to do this, you multiply each element by the scalar. It's almost like distributing. If you have, you learn to distribute in Algebra 1 and before. Same concept. So, for example, number 1, if we're doing 3g, we're going to 3 and then 5, 2, 9, -4. So all we're doing is we are distributing this 3 to every element, and we're multiplying every element by 3. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 9 is 27. 3 times -4 is -12. Number 2, -2j, j is -7, -8, and 0. And so I'm going to multiply every element by -2. We have +14, +16, and 0. That easy. It's probably faster for you to do it this way by hand than to try to type it in the calculator. 7L So 7 times -1, we get -7, 35, -7, and -70. And -4h, 3, 1, 6, 10. So -12, -4, -24, and -40. If you have any questions on those, make sure to ask. I think that's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Now, when we're multiplying two matrices, so like matrix G times matrix H, it's not like addition and subtraction. It's not where you multiply the elements that are in the same spots. It's totally different, and there's a long process. And if it wasn't a COVID year, if you were in class, I would teach you to do it by hand and make you do it by hand. But it's a longer process. So I'm not going to make you do that, but you do have to know that when you're multiplying two matrices, the order matters. So for example, in regular multiplication, 2 times 3 is 6, and 3 times 2 is 6. It doesn't matter which way you write it. But if you're multiplying, if you're multiplying matrix G times matrix H, that is not the same as H times G. So you have to be very careful with how you type it in, and don't get confused with, oh, I can do regular multiplication either way. It's not the same. And another thing, a big thing, that how you determine if you can multiply them, because you can't always multiply, the number of columns in the first matrix must match the number of rows in the second matrix. And that seems really confusing, but I will show you how to determine that pretty simple. So we have a matrix A and matrix B. And matrix A is a 2 by 3 matrix. And matrix B is a 3 by 3. And we want to know if we can multiply A times B. So if we want to know, this would be the number of columns the number of rows. So those inside numbers have to match. So if those inside numbers match, that means yes, you can multiply. But we also know other things. If you look at the outside numbers, that tells the new dimensions. So the dimensions of the product or the answer. So if we multiply A and B, then our new answer is going to be a 2 by 3 matrix. Now let's see if we can do B times A. B is a 3 by 3, and A is a 2 by 3. So if we try it this way, you can't even, those aren't the same numbers. You cannot multiply those. That's why order matters. I can multiply A times B, but I can't do B times A. And you don't have to do any of this by hand if you really want to learn. If you're really intrigued by multiplying matrices, then you can look it up on YouTube. Or I can teach you, but you don't have to. So using the matrices above, we're going to multiply. So G times H. So I'm going to type in the calculator, alpha zoom. I'm going to make sure I have a 2 by 2 selected. And I'm going to type those numbers in, F2, 9, -4. Then I'm going to arrow over. Click times. Alpha, zoom. It's still a 2 by 2. And H, 3, 1, 6. Oops, I messed up. 3 over, you have to arrow over. 1, arrow over, 6 over, and 10. Hit enter, and we get 27, 25, 3, -31. And actually, I should have checked. I didn't check first. I'm supposed to check first. I just knew if you're multiplying 2 by 2 and a 2 by 2, I know it can happen, but I will check the next one. K times M. So K is a 1 by 3. M is a 3 by 1. So yes, oops, that's the same. So yes, I can multiply. My answer is going to be a 1 by 1. It's only going to have one element in it. So alpha zoom. Now I have to go up and change K is 1 row, 3 columns. So I went up to my little box was on the 1 and hit enter, and then I went over for the rows, and then I went over to the columns and made sure my little box is on 3 and hit enter, and then you go down to OK, and -6, 3, -3 times alpha zoom. Got to change those dimensions. 3 by 1, 3 rows, 1 column. And then we're going to type in 6, -2, and 4. And my one element is -54. J and M. 3 by 1, 3 by 1. Okay. So 3 by 1, 3 by 1. Notice those numbers do not match, so we cannot multiply those matrices. Not possible. And then number 8, H and L. Those are both 2 by 2s. 2 by 2, 2 by 2. Yep, they match. And our answer is going to be a 2 by 2. So H times L. alpha zoom, fix it by 2 by 2. Then I'm going to type 3 over 1 over 6 over 10 times alpha zoom L. -1, 5, -1, -10. And we get -4, 5, -16, and -70. If you have any questions, let me know. Have a great day.